Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Vinnie here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guests are Ryan and Lowell, and they are selling their subscription and e-commerce business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you both doing?
Hello, Vinnie. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, doing well.
Awesome stuff. I am really looking forward to talking about your business. It's a very unique one as well, given the makeup of it and its DNA. Just before we dive into it, I'm going to give a really brief summary for our listeners. So today's listing is a subscription and e-commerce business in the personal care, supplements and beauty niches, and it was created in November 2018. The average monthly revenue for the business is $44,061, and it makes an average of $11,133 per month net profit. The assets included in the sale are a primary domain and all of the contents and files. There's also a secondary domain along with all of their content and files, a trademark, some social media accounts, an email list with over 5,000 subscribers. And just please note that inventory isn't normally included in the listing price, and further details can be provided to active buyers. You can head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 48427 to learn more about the business. If you want to start your due diligence, just remember to unlock the listing first. Alright guys, that is a general breakdown of the business, but let's find out a bit more about the pair of you. I mean, how did you get into building and running online businesses? Was this, a lifelong dream or just something that you kind of stumbled into?
Yeah, I can kind of start there. So this is Ryan. So Lowell and I actually work at another company together. It's an Amazon reseller based out of Indiana, and we've been working together for a while there. And then I had actually tried with my wife about 2.5 years ago and had some really good effects with it. So did she. And then I knew the 2018 Farm Bill was coming and it was going to be fully legalized across all 50 states. And then I've always had the curiosity with the subscription model, so the recurring revenue. And Lowell and I are both kind of this entrepreneurial and always wanting to build something. So him and I had a few conversations. I had to nudge him a little bit. Finally got him over there. So we kind of started the company in November. I guess we're just coming up on our 2 years in a week. So yeah, it's been 2 years now. So we actually launched in March of 2019, 5 or 6 month sprint to get live. So March 15th, 2019 was our first day in operation.
Awesome. So it sounds like, a bit of experience with the product sort of led you to think about, hey, if it seems like, obviously a good positive experience with it. Seems like it was the spark and the inspiration that you needed to try and monetize it in this way. I want to ask, in terms of, because it's a subscription and e-commerce business. So where did you get the idea to, build the business around these models?
There's obviously a ton of innovation in the space right now, and that's really foundational to subscription boxes. Right, so you're looking for each month. You're wanting to be surprised. You're wanting to see what's the newest, latest, and greatest products. So CBD really fit well into that niche of a subscription box. We looked out there really wasn't competition at the time, so I'm not sure if we were first to market, but definitely one of the first. And then we also knew that we wanted to have an e-commerce store for our customers that would get these boxes, fall in love with the product, and then want to come back and purchase more. So we kind of have a nice little customer journey where they sometimes subscribe for 3, 4, 5 months. They find which products work the best for them, and then they come back to our store and purchase those.
That makes total sense. While you were, on your journey developing this business, were there any resources that were really helpful in teaching you how to build a subscription or an e-commerce business? I mean, this might be a certain influencer, a YouTuber, or maybe a course or just anything like that.
Good question. I'm trying to think here. I think a lot of this we did kind of learn on the fly, to be honest with you. We were definitely influenced by reading things here and there, but I can't point to an author or a website that really, kind of guided us. There was a lot of trial and error for sure with any startup. Lowell, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the only one I had would be where we're hosted, which is Cratejoy. It's a marketplace for subscription boxes. They have a lot of good content and groups around helping people start subscription boxes. So that's the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, that sounds fair enough. I mean, with the business model itself, it sort of makes sense that maybe there aren't as many, established courses or resources. So it makes sense that it's something that you had to pick up on the fly for sure. How does the business primarily make money? Like just vaguely speaking.
I can take that one, Ryan. Yeah, I mean, so the core principle is that a customer comes in and buys a box. We have some cost of goods sold that go into that box and some shipping for the box to them. And then hopefully there's enough margin left over that we make money there each month. The real benefit for the business, I would say, is that we have that recurring revenue. So each month we know that we're going to have a base of customers that are continuing to subscribe. So as long as we can keep that churn down and keep acquiring new customers at a reasonable cost, then we'll always be making money.
That makes sense. Good answer, Lowell. So, all of our listeners will be wondering, since you've started this business, it seems pretty profitable. Why are you selling the business right now instead of sticking with it and continuing to grow it?
Yeah, I can start on that one, and Lowell, you can jump in if you have anything. I think from my perspective, I've been in supply chain for about 20 years now. So I actually started another company called Logistics, which is a 3PL in Indiana as well. So it does direct-to-consumer, e-commerce, fulfillment, subscription boxes, and kitting. It's also now where we are housing Hempcrate, so it's one of our customers. So the fulfillment piece is squared away, so that's a nice thing with this sale. But it's really starting to take up a lot of my time. It's a pretty big venture. I've leased a warehouse. It's got good size to it, and it's just a lot of demands right now. So between the other job, Lowell and I work together, Hempcrate, which has kind of been our side gig, and then now moving into Logistics, I just need to get some time back. So that's my primary driver.
Yeah, and similarly, it's more so just time. Like Hempcrate was always kind of just a side hustle for us that really grew more than we expected, for sure. So I was just recently promoted at my full-time job, and that's just going to take up a lot more time. I'm not quite ready to leave there yet. So yeah, we've enjoyed the journey so far, I think, but Ryan and I are kind of more so these starters. As you can tell, he's already on to another business. Really enjoy the starting of the thing, maybe more so than scaling and figuring everything else out.
Yeah.
Both of your reasons make absolute sense, and congratulations to the both of you. It sounds like, you're moving on to pastures anew. It sounds like there's new opportunities that are springing up, and I guess that tends to happen when you're in this space, right? Mm-hmm. You're on the lookout for new projects, and then as things develop, just eats up more of your time. Sometimes you just don't have the same resources to stick with the original project. So yeah, that makes absolute sense. I'm going to dig into a bit more of the experience and the nitty-gritty now of the business itself. So for the pair of you, what did you learn while you were building this business that you felt really worked for you?
Learned a lot. That's a loaded question. I've learned so many different things. Obviously, just learned the subscription business itself. Lowell and I have been doing also the customer service, so elements of that. Already had familiarity with the fulfillment, so we started out doing this out of my basement. It obviously got too large, so we had to move that to a 3PL. The marketing side, honestly, that's probably our area of biggest opportunity, Vinnie. We've tried several things, haven't been incredibly successful. I think Lowell and I are more definitely on the operations, engineering, efficiency side, and not so much on the marketing side. So I would say that's been the biggest challenge for me. It's probably been getting a grasp of the marketing.
Yeah, I echo that. I've enjoyed kind of getting to look into the finance of the business, really how a P&L works. I really learned a lot about how you need positive cash flow and things like that. But again, to echo Ryan, that the marketing kind of has just been something that we don't have a lot of expertise in, that we've been kind of just shooting blindly into the dark trying to figure out. So it's been cool seeing what does work and things like that. But that's just kind of been a challenge for us, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I guess maybe to help you focus in on one experience a bit better, what advice would you give to our listeners that you wish you knew when you first started this business?
I would say go for it. I mean, like Ryan said in the beginning, he kind of had to push me to do this. I initially said no the first time, and he was like, okay, go back and think about it for another weekend or whatever that is. I would say just jump in and kind of see what happens. Yeah, you can always turn around once you get going, but if you don't never get going, you're never going to know what's out there. And similarly, I would say another piece of advice, I'm just full of them today, I guess, would be just existing for long enough, you're bound to find good things that'll happen. So it was definitely a challenging first year for us, mainly because of payment processing issues were a bit of a trouble. We couldn't find things like that. But yeah, just existing for long enough, and eventually the box really started to take off.
Yeah, in the same vein, I would just say perseverance. In that first year, it was incredibly trying. There were multiple points where we could have just said, okay, enough's enough. It seemed like the world was against us. But Lowell and I just kind of kept pushing, and then finally broke through. And once you break through, obviously you get that gratifying feeling, and then it takes you to the next level. And then Lowell and I are like, okay, how can we grow it from here? And the interesting thing too, Vinny, is that 99% of our sales all time have been organic. We talk about customer acquisition costs and paid advertising. That's not our strategy typically. We've definitely done a few of those ventures, seen very limited returns just to our lack of expertise. So we've really built a strong community. We've got Instagram followers, roughly 5,000 on our email list, like avid users. And we really made a community out of this experience. So I think that's been a rewarding thing for us.
Yeah, for sure, guys. It sounds like you were able to pivot on the things that really works for you, but the most important thing, which I think every entrepreneur could well reminding themselves on a daily basis, is, like you say, just making sure you stick in there, really. It reminds me of, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Simon Sinek, but it reminds me of his theory of the infinity game. It's not about sprinting the fastest race, about who sticks in it, the longest, basically. Because I guess the thing is as well, like, even though, as you both mentioned, you might be moving on from this venture, you've got all the experiences and stuff that are obviously so invaluable and completely transferable. You can go on and start your next venture, whether the current one has failed or succeeded. So that makes absolute sense, for sure. I want to ask you guys about your marketing side. Both of you sort of hinted that it's not really your strong suit. What do you currently do in terms of marketing for the business?
Not a ton, honestly. A lot of it is SEO that we've built up in the early days of the business. So we did a lot of content writing early on and have hired a content writer now doing like one blog a month or something like that. But we get, I think it's like 25% of the search volume through organic search. Then also we're listed on Cratejoy, that marketplace I was talking about earlier. So a good amount of our subscriptions come through there. And then some work on social media, I would say, is probably the other piece. Like Ryan was saying, we're active on Instagram and Facebook and things like that. Am I missing anything, Ryan?
Yeah, we tried a few things. We had some good success. We did the Chive. That had probably the best return of anything that we tried on marketing. Some other things did not go very well. We did a 2-month trial with Ad Taxi, just doing like display ads, follow me ads, and just didn't see a return there. So I think we spent $10,000 and got about $3,000 in return. Tried an affiliate company recently. Definitely wasn't the right company. The idea was good. It's just the execution was pretty poor. So again, I just keep coming back to I just don't think you don't know what you don't know. We just don't know marketing.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, it also sounds like it's potential growth opportunity for the right buyer who has marketing chops to promote the business in the right way, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, we will touch a bit more on other opportunities, but I want to ask the pair of you about the day-to-day work or even the weekly basis. Like, what do you have to do to maintain the site?
Yeah, so like Ryan was saying, the fulfillment is outsourced. So that was the main bulk of our time at the beginning of this year. Now it's probably 10 or 15 hours a week total. I would say 2 to 3 hours are customer service, 2 to 3 hours a week are customer service, if that. Probably 2 to 3 hours kind of on that like social media, trying to figure out marketing, growth opportunities there. And then another 2 to 3 hours would be managing our partnerships, so our vendor partnerships. And we have a new program that we rolled out at the beginning of this year called Box Sponsorship, where we invite small and large CBD brands to give their products to us for free, and in exchange for kind of the exposure that we can bring them by putting them in the subscription boxes. So this is a pretty common play in subscription boxes, but one we only really unlocked this year, and it's really allowed us to become more and more profitable. And there's huge kind of with us in this program just because of the exposure that we can bring them. But I would say managing kind of those partnerships and just figuring out which partners are shipping when to us would be another 2 to 3 hours a week.
Okay, got you. I think that sounds like it makes sense. It does sound like it's quite a hands-off business in terms of the operations side. I also saw on the listing that you recently implemented a 3PL solution, so that must have helped a lot in terms of just taking the mind off the logistics side of things as well.
Yeah, that was logistics, and by doing that probably freed up, I don't know, probably 15 to 20 hours a month between Lowell and I on the fulfillment. So obviously just much more efficient, can do things at scale within the warehouse that we couldn't do within the basement. So yeah, that's been the biggest time save for sure. And that's really what's kind of taken it down to about 10 to 15 hours combined between the two of us per week on the business. I think there's always the opportunity to spend more and kind of, get in there. And there's probably some spikes some weeks. But on a week-to-week basis, we're both working full-time jobs. I've got another full-time job now. So I think 10 to 15 now that fulfillment's outsourced feels about right.
That's awesome. Guys, imagine I was someone who had absolutely no idea about the subscription model or e-commerce or about the niche either, but I was interested in acquiring the business. What would you say, or what would you recommend are some of the skills or requirements I should, brush up on or invest in order to be able to step in there and take over the business?
Yeah, kind of like we've alluded to, I think marketing is the one skill gap that Ryan and I have that would be really powerful for someone to step in with. Most of the other stuff is pretty simple. We've got a lot of like SOPs and standard processes in place for the customer service. I mean, it's just like copy and paste emails. Same with the box sponsorship and negotiating with partners there. We just have templates that we use. So the real skill that would be a valuable way to grow the business, I would say, would be like SEO knowledge or paid advertising knowledge, things like that. Influencer marketing, those will be huge assets to the business.
I would piggyback too and say, I mean, if you're getting into a subscription business for the first time, it's just understanding some key metrics, like some KPIs that are tied to subscription businesses. One being churn. Obviously, it's like how many customers are you retaining each month over a period of time? Again, we don't have as much marketing. You do want to know your customer acquisition cost, average revenue per user, so your ARPU. That's something that we look at for sure. And then also lifetime value. In any e-commerce business, you're always looking at your lifetime value of your customers, but especially in your subscription business, because all those metrics are tied together, right? So if you have a lower churn, then your lifetime value of your customers continues to grow. And that's one thing that we've been like incredibly pleased with is like literally every single week and every single month, our LTV for our customers continues to go up because we're keeping our customers longer and longer. So we're making more money on them.
Yeah, both really, really good answers, guys. I think from the top down, it basically sounds like generally anyone who's got a bit of business acumen about them can step into the business because there's plenty of SOPs and automations to help them just run it basically from day one. But if they really want to thrive, then it's best to have a bit of marketing knowledge. Let's just explore that a bit more then. I mean, if you did stay with the business, what are some ways that either of you would try to grow it?
Yeah. One area where we've seen a lot of success is influencer marketing, and a lot of that has been kind of organic. It's just been people on YouTube finding our box and doing unboxings without us knowing really. Mm-hmm. So we've had a couple people that'll get 30,000 views or something like that just for their unboxing videos. So I think if we were to lean into, or we were to stay on with the business, one thing I would do would be to really lean into that, see if we could maybe work with an influencer agency or just reach out to influencers individually and try and get more acquisitions through that channel.
Yeah, and I think I would, if I was to stay on, I think I would, if I didn't have the marketing expertise, which I don't, and Lowell doesn't either, I would probably hire a marketing agency just to run all facets of the business. Continue doing the customer service, the finding of the new partners, and the fulfillment being outsourced. But the marketing activities, I would outsource those for sure.
Yeah, and just one more thing. I think like most of the business is outsourceable, right? I mean, we could find someone to do the customer service, find maybe like a personal assistant, or if you wanted to continue to do the partner outreach and partner negotiations by yourself, and the fulfillment is already outsourced. So it's just picking and choosing what you want to do and what you want to keep, I think.
Yeah, one interesting thing is kind of over time is to see how the model somewhat flipped for us. So when we first started out, it was Lowell and I literally just trying to find brands, testing all the brands, making sure they were legit. And then there was a lot of work in that. And then it kind of flipped once we started kind of breaking through and getting to the other side, where now the brands are finding us. So we've got a list of, I don't know what the number is, probably 140, 150 brands that have expressed desire to partner, whether it be wholesale, distribution, box sponsorship, straight e-commerce play. There's a lot of interest in what we're doing. And the level of effort of us finding those new partners has dramatically swung the other way, where now they're finding us, which has been nice.
Gotcha. Okay. So sounds like if you take care of the marketing side of things, I mean, that's one obviously big area of growth, but it sounds like where the business is at and the strength of the brand means that there's just enough deal flow coming in that people, like both of you have mentioned, are actually approaching you guys for potential partnerships and new opportunities. But yeah, so it sounds like really, as long as you get the marketing out of the way, then the rest will come.
Yeah.
There's definitely enough organic traffic coming in that like the business can continue to grow as it is, even without additional marketing efforts. It's just if you really want to put gasoline on the fire, so to speak, it be good if someone knew how to find a paid channel. That could really blow the thing up.
Sounds good. Awesome, guys. I mean, there's just the last few questions for you to wrap up the interview. How much support are you offering buyers? Is it the standard 30 days of email and calls as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's minimum. Lowell and I are very heavily vested in making sure this company goes to the right buyer, that it succeeds, that the customers are in good hands. So I think we're available. I won't even put a date on it, but it's whatever the business would need to transition. Definitely at least 30 days, if not, 60 or 90.
Awesome. Great to know. Are both of you willing to commit to a non-compete?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Awesome. And are you open to negotiating something like an earn-out?
We'd entertain all offers. I will say, though, that we've had a couple of different potential buyers that we talked to that had it very heavily loaded towards the earn-out side, which is not as appealing for Lowell and I at all. We're definitely looking for something more like cash up front as the main structure of the deal, and then depending on the terms of the deal, having some flexibility. Maybe it's slightly less cash, but it's upfront versus more cash and a longer earn-out.
Okay, that's great to know. Guys, last question for both of you. So it's up to you who answers this first. But if you put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think that your business is a business worth buying?
Great question. I think personally, if I was a buyer, I'd be very interested in the fact that it's doing about $2.5–3 billion this year. It's projected to grow to about $20 billion in the next 4 years. The fact that there's a big demand for it, right? There's a reason why you keep seeing all these CBD companies pop up. And when I say CBD company, I'm not saying subscription companies. So everybody's trying to get into the space. It's a very large audience. The interesting thing from our demographic, so we definitely go towards females. So about 75–80% of our subscribers are females. But one thing that we've seen is we definitely have pockets of different age brackets that are common with us. So we have baby boomers for sure. We also have millennials. We have Gen Y. There's just a lot of individuals who are interested in CBD. I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah, and if Ryan likes the niche, then I would say I like the model a lot. The subscription box model really is anyone can kind of plug and play with it, right? So we've already got this solid base subscribers that will continue to stay with the business, and a really solid community that takes advantage of anything we put out there. So yeah, I love the subscription box model and think it's super advantageous for someone looking to get like steady cash flow income, just because it does spit off this really solid profit every month with minimal effort and minimal upkeep.
Yeah, both great answers, guys. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that you think I might have missed during the interview?
I can't think of anything.
I don't think so. It's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for talking through us with it.
No, absolutely, guys. Yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground, and I think we covered most of the bases. So yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Lowell, for joining me in today's interview, and all the best with your future endeavors.
All right. Thanks so much, Vinnie. Really appreciate it. Great talking with you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 48427. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked the listing, you'll be given everything that you need to know about the business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.